Hello, I'm Collie, and this is my submission for the Speed Stuff for Trans Lives Marathon. This is a game called Pico Park. It's intended to be a multiplayer puzzle platformer kind of game. It's good for parties, anywhere from 2 to 8 players. The run I'm submitting today is actually 1 player local. So I will have player 1, which is blue, on my left hand, and player 2, which is red, on my right hand. So this game is several years old, but it has not been highly run. It's actually, the history of this game is a little complicated because it was ported to Switch. It was originally on Steam as a local multiplayer, ported to Switch for online play, ported back to Steam for online play. So the speedrun.com boards weren't created until July of last year. And there are several runs on the board. I hold a world record for 2-player, 4-player, 6-player online multiplayer. 2-player and 6-player being the most recent. We previously held 3-player. My co-runner for 2-player is Palm. It's a little bit easier in theory to do 1-player because you don't have lag like you do online. There's no ping. You don't have to worry about that. But you have to control 2 characters with 2 different hands, and that can be kind of complicated, especially in some levels. I have not run this category for long, but I have been running Pico since August of last year is when we started playing 3-player. We've just been kind of adding people and playing with strats. And then I originally started playing 1-player just to see, like, oh, this looks like it's difficult, let's see how it goes. And I actually really enjoyed it. I've got a long way to go to optimize it. There are a lot of optimal strats found, but there's a lot more labbing to do in this game in general. It has gotten more popular in the last few weeks or so. We just got a new auto splitter, or our first auto splitter yesterday, and that's really helped, especially with 1-player runs, because you can focus more on playing the game and less on having to worry about splitting. Because we were splitting manually previously. So the first 4 levels of Pico Park are just kind of a tutorial, teaching you how to play the game, different mechanics of the game. The nice part about Pico Park is that it is very marathon safe, because if you die in a level, you just have to restart that level. You don't have to restart the entire run. There's nothing that's going to completely throw a run. There are some levels where the strats are more difficult than others, of course. So the biggest time loss is going to be resetting levels for certain strats, and just, there are levels where you can get locked out of ending the level, but then you just restart the level. So very, very marathon safe. So that's basically the intro to Pico Park, is those 4 levels. And then there's new mechanics introduced in a lot of different levels. I do this so many times. So we go to 2-1 instead of 1-2. We move on to the next world. The speedrun does have to be done in order. The biggest difference in the actual run itself between 2-player and 1-player local is that talking and moving 2 characters at the same time is very difficult. So I do plan to have a co-com. If this marathon submission gets accepted, it will probably be Palm. Especially since we're used to running together. But the biggest difference between this and 2-player online is that there's 4 extra levels we have to do, because those levels are usually locked for online play. There is a way to get over them, and like, it is built into the game, but it is kind of like you have to dig around and find how you get into those when you're online play, because it's very difficult. Ping is not great for those levels. You really want to be playing locally, but it is possible to play them online, and we have submitted marathon runs with those 4 levels as an incentive for multiplayer marathons, as a donation incentive. But they are actually part of the run for 1-player. So these levels where you're tied together, the physics are kind of funky. If you push a block, you do slow down compared to if you're just walking normally. So we try to push the blocks with the second player so that the first player can get in position and get those blocks moving. Sorry, the first player should actually be pushing them, but did those a little backwards. The first player meaning the person in front, not the actual first player. The first player, player 1 is always in the back. Player 2 is second in line from the left. This strat here, we have started incorporating into our multiplayer runs, but it's a lot easier to do as one player, because you don't have to worry about people going at different speeds at different times because of ping. And so I stay on the right side there so that the screen doesn't drag too far. There's actually an audio cue to pick up that last coin on the left side. These 4 levels, the new gimmick that's added is a time limit. That's actually not going to work if I hesitate on this level at all. Yay for resets. And like I said, it is marathon safe because we just have to reset the level and not the whole run. We skip a lot of buttons here. The buttons just give you time. And by skipping those buttons, we actually save time. It takes time to go over to the right and push those buttons. This level is very complicated as a one player. It can be so optimized, but it's so hard to do it as one player. Getting trapped on each other is not great there. So ideally we want to bump our heads against these, because it makes us not go quite as high. That was actually fairly quick compared to PB. That one gets really messy really quickly. This one's pretty simple, but it's very satisfying to run, because you just move these blocks like a couple pixels and then you can go. I usually, because this is a marathon, I'm pushing it a couple pixels extra for safety, because the timing is extremely tight here. Usually 1 second left and I had trouble entering the door there. So this one, the new gimmick that's added is, it varies with the level. This one is shields. I actually forgot who was who. So there's not a lot of RNG in this game. The RNG that there is starting position on some levels, including this level. So I was saying earlier that player 1 always starts in the back of the line. That's not true in all of the levels. It is mostly true. So in this level that we just finished, it's not true. It's RNG. It's random who gets what position there. So you kind of have to start the level, process for a minute who's where, and then decide who has to neutral jump. I think the ideal head strap, or the ideal speed strats for a lot of these 2-player levels, it's not highly run this way yet, but it's getting there, is head walking, or head boosting. And that's when you walk on someone else's head, you actually get a little bit of a speed boost, because you're walking, the player that you're walking on is also walking, and then you're walking the same speed on top of their head, so you actually end up going a little bit faster. Whoops. Don't hold right there. This is a speedrunner's most painful level. You just have to watch the timer and not do anything until the time runs out. Almost runs out. You need to be at 0.4. I love how 0.34 plus 0.34 is 0.69. Nice. And then here the gimmick is changing sizes. And a lot of these will show up in future levels. So they're introduced in these levels. But, ooh, I got too big. But they don't stay only in these levels. We will encounter, I think, this is where we reset the level. We will encounter all of them, I believe, later on. shield size buttons. Not the timer. The timer, I believe this is the only time that we really use the timer. Is those 4 levels and then the waiting on the timer one. So there you have to either jump or hold left or you're gonna get stuck in a pixel. And then these are the levels that are meant to only be played locally. And that's why they're required in a 1-player local run. So you can see at the top, you can see how many people are pressing each button. It's split. So I have to press the buttons at the same time with both hands and control one character. What you saw there, you can actually get a little bit of a boost if you jump off the grub. It's pretty hard to time, it's pretty precise. There are some strats that use that. This level doesn't use it as a strat, but there are some levels. And it's a grub, it's a slime. I'm a Hollow Knight runner before I was a Pico runner, so it's a grub to me. We save grubs. In this one, we just alternate who has the jump. It gets pretty messy pretty quickly in online play with 4 players, and you gotta figure out who has what ping, who goes when. This is actually a really nice level. This is my favorite level out of these, because it's very tight. You have to hit this cycle with this grub, or it's over. So I intended to do a big jump off of that grub. I got a mini hop, which was enough. The grub gets me to this platform. It skips that pipe with the flower in it. It gets that cycle, and then it gets me to this platform just in time. If I get the big jump off the grub, I actually have to wait a little bit before I jump on that platform. So it's a faster... It's still cycled. It gets you there a little bit faster, but I think ultimately it's the same amount of time. I think there's some labbing to be done on that level. There's a lot of labbing with cycles and strats still left to go. We got... I was saying we just got 2-player recce this past weekend after we did... where my co-runner did a lot of labbing, and then we practiced those strats that we found. And I'll hopefully showcase some of those strats here soon. It is World 8 where those things start to get a little messier, and there's a lot of levels that look like they're RNG, but with a solid strat, they're entirely consistent. It's just once you mess up that strat, it appears to be complete RNG. So this, my red guy needs to not get on the right side of this tower, or it is over and we reset the level. And blue can push blue and red can push red. When you have a run that has more than 2 players, what's a little bit more important is that if you have 2 people pushing each other, they can push either color block. That's not really an issue on a 2-player. And 6-2 is an auto-scroller, and we all love to greed auto-scrollers. We say to ourselves, don't greed the auto-scroller, and what do? We greed the auto-scroller. So those jumps are entirely not necessary to be done together, but they're kind of swag. What I'm doing here, this is not saving any time really, but it's separating these blocks because I push and I don't always stop early enough, and sometimes, I'm doing this on purpose this time, but sometimes I drag the blocks with me. Like as I jump, I drag against them, and that has locked me out of ending that level before, because I can't jump up. You gotta have like a pixel to jump up on, and if you push those blocks flat against the wall together, there's nothing to grab onto. This is just introducing, I mean, we've already seen elevators, but it's just a bigger variety of elevators with tighter jumps. I should have been up there earlier. I set this one up with my left hand doing the more difficult jump on this last elevator. 1, I'm left-handed. 2, I run with my left hand when I play multiplayer. I don't use my right hand at all. I'm going to be a little quiet for this level because it's kind of difficult. This is a new strat I'll explain later. Okay. I did not do that strat right. Anyway, if you hit the button, you die. But I push up against myself and I just time the jumps. And it's actually, it looks dangerous, but it is actually safer than just going over independently. And here I could jump both characters at the same time. It's kind of risky. And since I already reset once, I didn't want to go for that. 7 levels. World 7 is move and stop. So it introduces stamina, red light, green light. It's actually really fun to run as one player. It's a lot less frustrating. It's another set of those levels where it's really frustrating to run if you don't have a plan going in, but once you have a clear plan and everyone cooperates if you're playing multiplayer, then you're fine. It's completely safe. Got grub jumps off of both of those there. So there, if you actually jump off that cliff, like you corner jump, pre-jump, you can fall in that hole that's going to kill you. We found out that out the hard way when we were trying for 2-player Recce. So just walk off, it's safer. It looks scary, but it's actually safer. So here the concept's pretty easy. Red light, green light. Red light's on, you can't move. The green light, or in this case blue. Blue light on, you can move. It does flash to warn you. What I find frustrating is that the flash and the tempo of the music are not the same speed. And we don't read World 7. That is our policy. Except for when we do. Every time it's 1 pixel. I try to go a pixel further, and it's every time it's still a pixel. So this is a ghost. It will turn around and come at you if you're not looking at it. So if you've played Mario, or you've watched Doctor Who and it's the Weeping Angel, that kind of concept. You gotta keep an eye on it. It's a friendly ghost though, because we do need its help. So this is cycled. There is actually recently found a strat to beat that first pipe cycle. I have not practiced it, but it is possible to beat that first pipe cycle. And 1 cycle this whole level. I don't know if this game will ever be to the point where that's required. On one hand, I hope it will be, because it means this game will be much more run and a lot more optimized. But I also don't really want to have to reset a level to the things I have seen in that strat. So this is where I need to make that grub jump. I need that higher grub jump off the grub. Otherwise, the second grub will kill us. So ideally there, you're supposed to, like, one person jumps on the spring and it'll launch both people. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes you just miss the spring. Sometimes you jump on it and it doesn't launch both people. Springs are kind of weird. The other thing is sometimes you hit a spring and when you land, the game doesn't realize that you've landed. And then the stamina bar just keeps going. There's a lot of jank in this game, but I'm a Hollow Knight runner. I'm used to jank. This is where strats are important. So this strat here is just be good at Tetris, which I'm not, but we try. We have recently started an IL spreadsheet for this game, and an IL for this level was submitted, and it's absolutely insane. It's from DDR Dan, which is the current 1-player local record holder. And I have never seen Pico Park Tetris happen so fast in my entire life. It's very clean. And the IL boards, I started those. Well, I say boards, it's just a spreadsheet now. Maybe eventually will be a board. But I did it because I want to see faster strats. I want to see this game succeed as a speed game. And I feel like ILs is how you push a speed game to be the fastest it can be. And so far I'm really happy with the ILs that have been submitted. Definitely have seen some strats I was not familiar with before. Either they haven't been presented in runs, or they're just you know, kind of obscure. So I think it's a step in the right direction for Pico. A lot of people know Pico Park as an incredibly frustrating party game, and you learn to hate all your friends with it. And that can be very true. But if you come in, like I said, you come in with a plan to speedrun. It's actually a really good speed game. I get a lot of enjoyment out of it. It is definitely my favorite speed game at this point. Alright, so this is a strat that requires frame perfect inputs. We'll see if we get it. I need to step left, or step right and left. I did not get it on the right side. And then here, this also has to be frame perfect, or pixel perfect. I'm going to reset it just to try to get this strat. This is the one that was just recently labbed. I think that's it. It's hard to tell sometimes. Oh, I missed it on the one side. So ideally both of the balls would be going up and doing that. Again, I'm going to reset it just to see if I can get this strat one more time. It is a very cool strat. But it is pixel perfect. There it is. And then we just wait here. And this is 100% consistent. And there it is. So that's a level that has a lot of RNG in it if you don't know what you're doing going into it, but with this strat, it just works. And there's a few levels like that. So this one, the safety strat I use, there's a speed up after you clear 5 rows. So I clear 4 rows. And then I try to get 6 rows ready to go before I clear more. And that's just a safety strat. The fast strat obviously is you clear lines fast. You clear as many lines as you can, as fast as you can. Oh, that's not the greatest Tetris move I've ever done. Let's see if we can fix it. Good. Oh, we made another hole. It's very hard to focus on 2 at the same time. Hopefully that's not reset worthy. Oh, this might be a reset. We'll just pretend those rows don't exist. It's fine. We'll dig. We can dig. So I am going to get a speed up here a little bit earlier than I had wanted to, but it's so that I can get these lines emptied out. Not too bad. I actually saved time to PB there, even though I messed it up. There's another strat here. This one's a little different, so I'm going to explain it. I'm going to take the time. It's going to take time out of the run. It's fine. I'm going to explain it. So when you hit those exclamation points, the game speeds up. Not just the balls, but the characters too. So you want to get those hit quickly. So we go up, and then I get into that pixel perfect position with my blue character. We hit this up, and then we get the same distance from this wall. And there's a perfect timing, and I got the timing there. And then we just don't let the balls fall. Please don't let the balls fall. Oh my god, please. Okay. We made it. Well, I say we made it. We haven't made it yet. Okay. If this fails, we just cry. I'm confident there is better strats that can be labbed for this level. It's just a matter of finding them. Because this level can be a little bit painful at this point. There we go. And 8-4, 8-2 and 8-4, all of 8 are like the stressy levels. And after that, there's like one level that's difficult. And after that, it's not free, but a whole lot less stressful. Wow. I can't even blame Ping. Generally, if we mess this up in multiplayer, we're just like, oh, it was ping, I didn't know when the ball comes. We just end up predicting when the ball's gonna come out. I move my blue player to the left on this one just because brain has struggle if they're not on the sides that my hands are on. This seems like a very easy level, but it actually has pretty precise timing where the ball won't work. That was actually a gold. Let's go. This is that level. So, again, I'm going to take a minute to explain. I'm going to reset the level. So this has bricks over there, bricks blocking a key, bricks blocking a door. You have all these balls, but we only need one ball. And this can get to be a nightmare of a level, but there is a consistent strat for it. I was too late. So this is frame perfect. Too late. And it is actually worth it to reset this if you don't get the strat, because it loses that much time. You can lose actual minutes if you don't get the strat. That was one frame. Actually, yeah, that was one frame too early. Which is playable, but still not really worth it. I believe that's still... Oh, that's... Yeah, that's one frame too early. Late. And we only need this one ball, like I said. If we get the one that's one frame too early, like I said, you can play it out, but you're going to need more balls than just the one. And then the one that's one frame too late is just completely unplayable. It looks like it's playable, and then the ball hits the ground and it's over. That was too early. Ideally, you get this first try in a run, and you just go with it. I'm pretty sure when we got world record the other day in 2-player, we got first try. So that's one frame too early. And you can see the ball goes back to the left. Yeah, still one frame too early. It's a little bit hard to tell that angle sometimes. This should be the right one. And then you just hold right, and it just works. You stack. Except for when it doesn't. There, it still worked. That wasn't ideal, but it was the general idea. You can see, just with explaining and resetting, I lost 1.5 minutes, but I promise if I hadn't reset, I would have lost way more than 1.5 minutes there. Whoops. Moved a little bit too far there. So this, I have actually changed my strat for this. I used to make right character do one bounce and blue do all the rest. Oh, scammed. I have since started doing 3 bounces each. And that's just as I've gotten more comfortable playing the right character. Because like I said, generally when I run Pico, I'm playing with my left hand. And right now I'm playing with 2 hands. And it's a lot harder for me to do anything with my right hand. It's worth noting, so right hand is intended to be played with arrow keys, left hand with WASD. But you can rebind those. When I play Hollow Knight, I play Hollow Knight keyboard, and I play with right hand does things on keypad. So I rebound my controls for right hand to keypad, and it's made things a lot easier. Just because it's in the same position. So it's definitely something that I'm still getting used to. And then, so 2 players sounds kind of strange because it's a 2-player run. But no matter how many players are playing, these 4 levels are always 2-player. So this is makeable. All these corners, how they look rounded, they're not rounded. All the corners are actually sharp edges. And you can jump off of the edges that are not there. You can also get coyote frames. Shouldn't actually be stopping there. I gotta remember what my hands are doing. But basically, the point of these levels is that 2 people have to cooperate instead of however many people are playing. You have 8 players, you're still playing 2-player here. And there is RNG in these levels as far as, again, like who starts in what position, and also if you're playing with more than 2 players, which players are playing. It's not always the same. There's a strat here, I don't know if I'll get it, but I'll give it a try. It's very hard with 2-player. But basically the strat here is that you want to bounce off of the second player's head and get a head boost, which I'm just going to show you what that is. You did see a little bit of it earlier. But a head boost is this, so you just jump and it gives the other player a leg up, basically. You're jumping, the top player is jumping off of the bottom player's head as the bottom player is jumping up. So there isn't really a double jump in this game, but you can do stuff like that that gets you a little bit more height. And these are dark rooms. You just gotta know what the dark rooms are. Also know who's on what hand. I went too early there. So this is hard for me when red player is on the bottom there. Because, like I said, I'm not as good with my right hand as I am with my left hand. So I'm going to try to show a glitch. It's a time-losing glitch, not a time-saving glitch. Just a glitch for the sake of... Whoops. Okay, so don't fall in the hole. You die. So you see there's different points where different parts of the game come into view. So here, the point is to grab the key. You can actually first frame this key, and nothing happens. Like, the rest of the game doesn't progress. So you actually need to go down low enough for the trigger point to hit. That will actually, like, let you continue the level. So, not reading those levels is kind of important. There's another glitch with first framing the key in the previous Dark Room level too, where, like, the game just doesn't progress. These 4 levels, World 11 is, like, the best levels, especially in multiplayer runs. It just has some really cool gimmicks that you haven't seen before, and you will never see again in the rest of the game. So you're shooting each other. If you shoot against the wall, then whoever is inside your gun comes out. If you're touching someone, you can't shoot them, so you actually have to stay far away. The strat for that one is to be holding the shoot button, like, as you enter the level. So this one we suck instead of shoot. And I do that so that my characters stay on their respective sides and my brain doesn't short circuit. That was actually really clean. That was a gold. It actually wasn't super clean. Like, it can definitely be optimized more. So this one is, as a multiplayer run, this is, like, my favorite level. I gotta think really hard here about who's shooting what. And this strat is just really, really clean. Most of the pauses you see, like where I just stop moving, is because my brain does not know who's doing what. And I'm scared to do anything in case I die. And that has gotten better as I've run one player more. Oh, I murdered myself. This is actually a really tight cycle for one player. I almost did not get that block, and then you have to drop that. So either your block hits the button or it misses entirely and falls into, whoops, falls into the thing and you can reset. There is a pixel on either side of that button where if your block hits there, you're just soft locked. You have to reset the level because you cannot go back and get your block again. The block doesn't return to start, and you also, like, you can't progress because you didn't hit the button. So that's kind of some jank there. The most painful is when you hit that pixel. So here again we have the shield. I told you we'd see this again later. There's a lot of things in this game that are like meant to be there to help you and you just don't need. There's like a lot of blocks and things you just don't use in the speedrun. And you don't have to use them casually either. But they're there, so people want to use them. And sometimes they kind of get in the way rather than being helpful. So the wind from the fans is a concept that has never been introduced till now. And will not be used again the entire rest of the game. But the fan blows you. My left player is walking into my right player, because then neither one of us will move when the fan blows. And then, so I hop the fans on the way out, because the fan's blowing, you jump over it, you go faster. On the way in, you don't jump, because the fan's blowing, and you move faster that direction. And I can't talk during this one, because memes. So that's basically the other rocket level, but faster and with moving parts. But also a meme that we have sworn to uphold no matter how many of us are running the game. And that's that you just... and that's that you cannot talk during that level. It has been enough of a meme... I'm going to restart because we're not going to make the cycle. There's been enough of a meme that I actually need quiet on that level, or I will die. And if you die, the other part is it's cycled. If you die, the cycle does not reset. So you're just stuck in a bad cycle, which tends to just get you killed again. So the grubs are a little more spaced there, so I don't have to get that perfect grub jump. That was very greedy of me. And that's the run. So this final world has kind of like bits and pieces from everything. You saw that don't push button. You see the grubs, just every part coming together to kind of finish the level. That's kind of the theme of the last world, except for 12-2, the fan hops. So that's 37 minutes, and that's kind of not a great run. So 45 minutes, definitely no more than 45 minutes, probably about 40 minutes for this run. And this is already timed in real time, which is really nice. You don't have to worry about loads. So that is my submission for Pico Park for the marathon. I hope you will consider it. And like I said, because one player does require a lot of thinking, and talking and thinking doesn't always work well, I probably will have a co-com. Thank you.